Wednesday, 1 o'clock, my usual Facebook Live day. I hope you're all doing well and you're staying safe and healthy. This week's demo, I am going to show you how to make a stretch ring, and very easy to do with just about any kind of beads that you have at home. First off, you will need to use stretch cord, and I like to use the Stretch Magic, and this is, they come in different sizes, so this one is 0.5 millimeters. I like to use this size for my rings because it's thin and you don't need something super strong for rings, unlike bracelets or necklaces where you need something stronger. And this kind of thing you can find at really just about any craft store. So you can get them on Michael's or AC Moore if you have one near you, though I know they're closing. Really just about any craft store. You can also find them online. And they come in different sizes, but again, for the rings, I like to use a 0.5 millimeter. And they come in different colors. This one actually happens to be black cord, although I really don't, and more often than not, they also come in clear. I don't find it makes that much of a difference with the color because pretty much the cord is going to be hidden anyways with what you make. So then you'll need scissors, beads, of course. I have all sorts of different beads here. And then I have what's called a bead bug, and I use this to clamp on the end of the cording, which keeps the beads from falling off. Or you can just use beads on the end instead if you don't have one of these. But if you decide that you're going to be beading a fair amount, I find these are really great. They're called bead bugs. Basically, it's like a little spring that you can press in the middle and then just put the cord right in there, and it holds the cord for you and keeps the beads from falling off. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut a piece of cord, and for a ring you don't really need that much, although I always like to use a little extra. So this is, I don't know, about 5 to 6 inches long. And I always err on having extra, just I'd rather have a little too much than not enough. So before you start stringing your stretch cord, you want to prime it. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to stretch it gently, and this is going to keep it from breaking on you while you're stringing it, and then also when you're wearing it. And actually doing this makes it more durable. So now I'm going to just let it sit here for a minute and let it settle. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the bead bug. So there are different things you could do in the end. You could take a bead on one end and thread it through, and then make a little knot at the end. And this is called a stopper bead. Just make a little loop like that, and that keeps the beads on there from falling off. So you can do that, and that's a very simple way of keeping your beads on while you're working. But if you have a bead bug like I do, I'm going to attach that, so I'm basically going to squeeze both ends here in the spring, and then just put the stretch cord at the end, and then it holds a bead bug. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to start stringing beads, and you can pick whatever you'd like. So I have this bead as the in the middle part is my focal, which will be like right there. That part in the ring, it's going to be kind of a little bit of a bigger ring, but it's going to be kind of pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to string, I have these really nice little orange and yellow different shades, and I'm going to string that on. And goes down to the bottom there. Now I'm going to, you can design these however you want. I'm going to add these little silver beads in between. Like that, see? And then I'm going to just keep going with that pattern with the orange beads and then orange bead and silver bead. And you have to excuse me, I'm going to put my high intensity light on just because it's easier for me to see what I'm doing. Yeah, excuse me, I'm going to put this on. I hope this doesn't make things too washed out for you and you can see okay. It's just that the holes are tiny, and I find when the hole's really tiny you need more light to be able to put things in. So feel free to give me a shout out, tell me how you're doing today. So I'm just stringing on one of these orange and yellow beads and silver, and interspersing them so that I'm getting a pattern here. It's going to look really pretty when it's done, nice and bright. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one more of these on, and then I'm going to put my focal bead on here. I'm just having trouble seeing the holes today. Okay, so now I've got these strung up, and you don't have to, it doesn't have to be exact because you're going to close this up afterwards and everything's going to look the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to string my focal bead on here. So that's on there. So now I'm going to continue repeating the pattern on the other side. Although I kind of like the look, if you can see, I kind of like the look of having the orange beads instead of the silver next to the big focal bead. So I'm going to put another orange one here, and then after that continue my pattern with the silver and then the orange. And you can really do this with any kind of beads, any sizes, although because it's a ring you don't want to get too big, because then you don't want it to, your bead to look very, to be wonky. You want to be able to wear it. You want your ring to be wearable. Hi Phyllis, I hope you're having a great day. So I'm continuing to work on this. I'm going in a few beads here. I am going to measure it on my finger and I will show you how to do that. Actually, I'm going to do that now. So the way to measure this, what I like to do is I put my finger, the finger that I want to wear it on, and I actually will go slide this down a bit and make it into a loop on my mat or wherever you are beading. And this is a bead mat. Again, I've said this many times, you definitely, if you are beading, if you don't have a bead mat, you know, having some felt or some kind of cloth down is really helpful instead of just a plain table, because it keeps your beads from rolling. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm just trying to get this so that the beads are together, and oh, I need to actually put one more metal bead here before I do this to keep the pattern going. There we go. And now we're going to see now I'm doing this as a little circle here. Do you see that? I'm just using my forefinger and my thumb to hold this together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide my finger here to see how it fits. And it's a little tight still. Can't really quite get my finger in there. And even though it's a stretch, you want it to have some give. So I'm going to put 2 more beads in here. I'm going to put one more of the glass orange beads and then one of the metal silver, and then I'll measure it again. Okay, now I'm going to measure this again. Okay, I'm just going to kind of close it up lightly with my thumb and forefinger like this. So it makes a loop. See that? It's making a loop. So now I'm going to try and put my finger through here again. All right. Now it's gotten a little loose. That's okay. I've got both ends here. So now I'm going to see if it fits my finger or not, or if it's still a little tight. And again, you have to kind of gauge it because every finger is a different size and all the beads are different sizes. So I'm looking here, so it fits in here, but it's a little tight too. If you can see the other side here, it's kind of pinching my finger. So I'm going to add a few more beads. So I'm going to add another of these glass beads and one more silver, and then I'll try it again. And it's really, you're making these for yourself. It's really trial and error. And if you're using the same beads over and over, once you've done one, use them, if you're using the same kind of beads all the time, it's not so much trial and error anymore because you'll have one made and then you don't have to figure out the rest. But if you're using different beads, so this is what you have to do to see if they fit well or not. Okay, so now I've put one of each on here. Okay, and that is fitting. See how pretty that is? And it's not pinching my finger so much now on this side, even though I'm holding this, but it's not really pinching my finger anymore. So that's a good size. So I think I am set with that part. So now what I'm going to do is close it. So I'm going to take my bead bug off. So the way to close these cords, and it doesn't matter whether you're making a ring or if you're doing a bracelet or a necklace, it's called a surgeon's knot. So the way to do a surgeon's knot is you cross both ends like this, and then you can put one end under once, twice, and 3 times. And then you're going to pull it tight, carefully, and then sometimes, depending on the beads, like this one wanted to flip over on me a little bit. It's okay. And then you're going to, so now you've got this pull tight. Now you're going to take the ends again, cross them over, and then put them under once, one more time. Again, pull it tight like this, and then let them go. And see, now you've got a really nice ring. But this isn't where I stop it. What I like to do with all my stretch cord is I like to put a little dab of glue on the knot. And that also really ensures that anything that I've knotted here is going to hold. It's not going to unravel on me at all. So I'm just going to move these things out of the way. So what I do is I take a little bit of wax paper. All this is wax paper. You can use cellophane too, but I like the wax paper because it keeps things clean. You know, if you have any glue, and things don't stick very much to it. So what I do is I put this down. Then I have my jeweler's glue. So this is, and there's different kinds. This one is called GS Hypo Cement, and I like this one especially for my for any of my corded pieces, because you see in the picture here the tip is really fine, and you don't need much glue on the end here. You're just putting like a little dab just to hold the knot. So, but the one thing about this though is it does smell a little bit, so I always do this in a well ventilated room. And even now, if the weather's a little chilly, or even the middle of the winter where I am, I just will open my window just a little bit for a few minutes while I'm using this, and then it's fine. So this tube has been it's been in use for a while. As you can see, it's rolled up. So first, excuse me, I'm just going to open my window a little bit here. Just a crack. It doesn't have to be opened all the way. Okay, so I'm going to unravel this. I'm going to show you how fine that point is. You see that? And then the other end, the cap end, has this little pointed end, needle end that you put in at the tip here to close it up when you're done. And it keeps the end, the nozzle, really nice and clean. So you see how tiny that is? It's really thin. So it's a fine point. So what I'm going to do now is I have this all rolled up here. So I'm going to unroll it, and then I'm going to roll it back up just to force a little bit of the glue out. And I'll put it up here. Can you see that? Just a little bit at the end there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ring, and where the knot is, I'm just going to dab this on the end, just a little bit. And I'm going to lay this down and let it dry. So then what I do is I unravel this just a little bit to open it. I always have a Kleenex with me to kind of clean off the end, and then stick the cap end back in. So then what you can use all sorts of other glue too. You could use Elmer's if you wanted, but I especially like the GS Hypo Cement because it has a really fine pinpointed top to it, and you just need, like, as you saw, a tiny bit. So this glue will set within about 10 minutes or so, but it's not entirely ready to, if things are not entirely ready to be worn if you use this. I wait for at least 24 hours just so it's 100% set complete. The glue itself will dry within 10 minutes, but to really set 100%, I wait a full 24 hours. So then what I do is, you can see it's now glued. That's the dotted cord there, the knot is all glued. So I will just let this sit here for 24 hours, and then when 24 hours are up, I will take my scissors and get as close to the knot as I can, and then just clip off the ends, cord ends. And there you go. Then you have a really nice ring. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. It's really fun, easy to do. And again, you can do with any beads. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me afterwards. If you need help, or want to know where you can find some of these beads, let me know. You can find the craft stores. I also have all sorts of different online sites I like to go to, which I'm happy to give you the information for if you would like. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one. Bye. Stay safe and healthy.